Good evening, my amazing listeners. This is Roshika Ali here again, and this time we have Mr. Christer Edman with us from Stockholm, Sweden, and he is a life coach. He is not only a life coach for people trying to find their way out of financial situations, trying to find ways to improve their professional lives, but also the kind of a person who will help you recover from traumatic experiences. And domestic abuse is an extremely sensitive topic, especially in our part of the world. And unfortunately, we women in our part of the world are suppressed, and sometimes they are not able to express for their entire lives the kind of abuse they go through, and that kind of trauma carries through generations, and somehow we are culturally at the mercy of people not resolving their issues and not coming to terms with whatever bad things happen to them. So, good evening, Mr. Christer Edman. I'm so sorry I mispronounced your name there. Uh, I was just so, I'm just so grateful that you agreed to talk to me on such a sensitive topic, which is so close to me, because it is unfortunately a very common strain in our culture. So,
Mm.
uh, I would like my viewers to know that Mr. Christer Edman works with his wife, Rosha, who is Pakistani, and she's also, she was also a victim of abuse and domestic violence. And she works with Mr. Edman, and both of them, they help couples, they help men and women realize the root cause of their problems and come to terms with their demons. So, Mr. Edmund, uh, 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 could you please tell us your work, especially in this field, in this area?
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction, Roshika. I really appreciate to be invited to your interviews. I think it's so important topic to actually bring up, and I have been in Sweden working with those topics since 10 years now. The first time I got in contact with this was I want to tell my mother was a Finnish war child. She was born in Finland, and during the Second World War, she was forced to leave Finland and go to Sweden when she was only 7 years of age. She came to an adoptive mother. It was a single woman, and my mother was raped as a child by the churchmen. And this is something when you're hiding things and nobody could believe what happened to her. And when we are talking about generations and what is going further, it's important to understand this also affected me as the child, as the oldest son in the family. And I have seen many things in my life related to violence and so on, especially when she told me about this. I was 21 years of age when I got to know this because she hid it so much. She didn't want to talk about this. And the effect of violence like that is that many people are like shy, they are feeling shame, guilt, and they hide from telling other people. And when she told her foster mother, the adoptive mother, she said that she was lying because that is not what the men of church are doing. And I would say it can happen because all men from all religions, all political you can't say it depends on religion or it depends on that. And that was my first experience of violence against women and abuse. And this affected the whole family. So I have always been interested in what is going on. Why is she feeling so angry? Why is she taking the medicine? Why is she doing this or that? Why is she like beating me up? Because I've been beaten with rods and things, because the anger is actually coming out when you're not feeling well inside. And that is so common. And that is a part of why also women are abused by men many times, because they are afraid, they are scared, they are feeling shame, they might have been beaten, they don't know how to treat a woman, their wives and their daughters and so on. So this is I should say, a universal problem which goes further into generations. And when I say about genetics, when we are talking about genetics, when it's epigenetics, it's like the environment, the people you're spending time with, and how you are met in that situation can affect a person, a whole society, a whole culture, the traditions, and so on. So here in Sweden, we have a lot of people from different cultures and traditions. They are coming from all over the world. And now I jump a little bit step further, because I was working as a coach, and I am International Coaching Federation coach, professional coach. So I am a certified coach. That's why I also know how important it is to have the integrity. And when I'm working, you mentioned my wife, Rosha, when I am talking about what she has gone through, she speaks for herself, but it's also about protecting each other. Some people, they are introvert, others people are extrovert, some can talk, others wants to work behind, and she has chosen to work behind. That's why she doesn't want to show herself. And she has said, I am free to talk, and I'm so proud to work together with her. We have coached people, and we have got very good feedback, and they are really saying that together we are completing each other, because she's working from a female perspective, I am working from a male perspective, and I can understand women who have been abused and gone through hard things. In
Mm.
2015, I was working as a coach at Lernia, a competence company. I was working with inmates in prisons for many years, and I was also working with clients coming, and they were job seekers. Many come from other countries' cultures. One of the women came to me, and I asked, "What can I help you with? What do you need support with?" And she didn't say anything. She was just quiet. I understood it was something very sensitive here. She was not like speaking out directly. And as a coach, I know that is the first step. You need to listen. So I was just silent, and I waited on her. I just looked at her and waited, and showing that I am here. My energy, my feeling was only with her. After a while, she said to me, I want a life. Then I understood this woman has gone through the worst horror in her life. When you're talking about murders in the family, when you're talking about that you have to change your identity 3 times, and you have lost all your friends, you have a child, and you must protect your child, and then you go into a new relationship after the horrible things within the family, then you find a husband, and then you are abused, you got nerve damages, so you can't hardly walk. A normal walk is actually almost destroying the possibility. That is what abuse can do to a woman, and therefore it's so important that we are talking about those things. And since I also have heard from my father, he was a police for more than 30 years. He said there are apartment violence, they used to say, or apartment, like something which is common, apartment violence. No, it was not like that. I understood later on, because he said to me, Christer, you never touch, bury your hand on a woman. He had
Mm.
seen the worst. He had seen
Mm.
beaten up women, and they were going back to their partners because they were so, it was so normalized for them to being beaten, so they could accept the worst condition because they were used to live in that kind of environment. And when I have talked to women, I've talked and have coached women in Pakistan, all over the world from different countries. I've also heard about things like, okay, I must marry this man because my family says this. Do you love this man? No, but this is
Hmm.
the tradition. And then they marry someone they don't even love. And they are forced into a marriage. And then, if something happened in the marriage, because it's hard to live with the person if you don't love the person and you really feel this is the person, especially if you are maybe in love with someone else and the family is denying you. Now we are talking about the honor related violence, which is related to culture and traditions. I have met Orthodox Christian women related to that, Christians, Muslims, all kind of background. But we used to talk about it because of the religion, because of this or that. No, this is a cultural and traditional problem, which is you can find it everywhere. My father, who was a cop, when he said to me, the women they didn't want to report the men because they were so used to live with the men and they were afraid for the financial situation and how will they survive with the children, how can they go on. And if you are living in a culture where all are saying you shall go back to the man, you shall do this, you must go back, and so on, no matter what is happening to you, that is also very common because it's like you are talking about a shame within the family because this is something which shall not be talked about because if it is coming out, it will be a shame for the family. So all are more or less saying, oh, have you heard? And the gossiping starting. But openly, they are saying to the poor woman who is many times alone, and that is the sad thing because they have nobody they can turn to talk to, and to get the support, get advice, and so on. I am a coach. My wife is coaching, co-coaching together with me, but she's also a mentor. A mentor means that she can share things. And when we are working now and internationally, we are also on conversation with people who are actually working with others, with the social workers and so on. So I have been working 1 year at the support living. I heard stories here from Swedish women. They were starting up with drugs. Why did they start up with drugs? Because they were raped in childhood. They were living in horrible situations. Trafficking victims, I have talked to and coached as well. There are so many things going on behind what we are seeing. And I try to highlight those things because I know that the only way to do something is that we are talking about it, to give the women, empower the women, give them the courage, and to break free in a structured way. It's also about having the legal way as well. You need to have good lawyer. You need to have the support system from the network. Who are your network? So as a coach, I always ask, who are supporting you? Do you have anyone you can trust and tell what is going on? Because I have the integrity. I keep this confidential always when I'm talking to the victims. And then they can come to me, and then I can give them other people, like you can turn there, you can contact this person or this organization, and so on. So this is the way I'm working. But it always starts with the woman herself. Because if she doesn't feel comfortable and have the power and the will, I would say, to want to change the situation, we shall not go in there and force something, because if she is not strong and have the energy within herself, then it's impossible. Because there are always coming situations you don't know. I can't promise that all women will be saved, but I can promise that we are doing everything we can so they can say no, it's enough. And I think that is the most important we can work on. And with the experience I have, I know it's possible. So we are also talking about the positive ways, because sometimes the men, now I'm also talking about what's happening with the men, they have no tools for how to be with women. They have hardly seen women. The first time they are seeing a woman, it's when they are like on their wedding night, or if something happened like that. And then they shall create a relationship with that woman without even having the knowledge about themselves. And just imagine how traumatic it can be. And then they might be only with men, other men. And if they are in a group, when they are talking like machos, yeah, I do this. And when I will meet this woman, or as in Sweden, I talked to the inmates. They were coming from many different countries. They said, those Swedish women, they are drinking alcohol, and you can rape them. It's okay to rape them. I have heard that. It's their own fault because they are out and they are not covering themselves, and they are like exposing. So that is what I've heard from men. And those men who are saying things like that, I should say that is a big problem. And those men, now I will tell you about a woman I was actually supporting. She was only 16 years of age. She was raped by 4 men between 20 to 22. She was with them, and she got alcohol and drinking alcohol. And suddenly, she don't know what happened. She was out on the street on a bridge, and she was going to jump over the bridge because she wanted to commit suicide. She had been group raped by 4 men. And that woman had gone through horrible things. The attorney laid down the case and said, no, she wanted this. She was with the men, she had been drinking and so on. So instead of what I did, I saw a woman, a girl, she was alone, she was drunk. I stopped at the station. I said, where are you going? What has happened to you? No, I am a little bit tipsy. Yeah, okay, where do you live? I drive you home. I drove her to her home, because what is happening if a woman is drunk and out, it's like she's free to rape, because then she is. I don't like drinking. I never drink alcohol. I stopped with all of that. And I tell people this is the most stupid thing you can do, because that is actually creating a mess. You don't know what you're doing when you're drinking alcohol. And the next step can be violence and other problems. You can't think clearly. So never drink alcohol. That's the first I want to say. And also to those men, if there are men who are hearing this, it's so bad. I know it's done in hidden places. I know it's something which is happening in all countries. There are certain places they go, like in a closed place. It's the same with women. They go to those closed places. And the sex trafficking is horrible, because they are actually putting something in. It can be at the McDonald's. One of the clients I have, she was with a friend. They were at McDonald's, and there were 3 men, boys, something like that. I don't know exactly their age, but she woke up in an apartment. She doesn't know how she came there. And then she was she was raped, and she was getting drugged. They start up to give, they just inject, they start up, they rape. And when they start up with those things, it's like the backside. I have talked to so many people who are going through those things, horrible things. Now I'm talking about the worst parts, but what can be, I should say the exceptional situations if you are not saying stop and no from the beginning, and how to say stop and no before you are coming into those situations. And those, I should say, innocent women who are thinking that they will marry, they will live a good life, they met a man, they want to bring up the children and be a part of the whole family, they might end up in this situation. If you are living in a situation where you are not feeling it's okay to express yourself, to talk about this, and you have nobody you can talk to, you need a good lawyer. You need to have the network around you. And those who are meeting those women, they also need education. They need to know this is actually how it starts. And it might start already in school. When you see a girl who is suddenly taken away from the school. Here in Sweden, we have like a new system where they are checking up if the children are coming back when they are going abroad. So they are not marrying them, forcing them to marry, someone they are not in love with, or forcing them to go back to their home countries and so on. So I have talked to so many different, I should say, women. And abuse can be domestic violence, it can be honor-related violence. I used to differ between them. When we are talking about the honor-related, which is related to, I should say, the traditions and the culture, it's much harder because it involves the whole family. And when the whole family is involved, it's so hard to break through this. And sometimes we also used to say this, that it is because of the patriarchal system. No, it's not only because of the patriarchal system. We also have the matrimony when the women who have been abused and then they are coming up and say, now I got my son's wife will be the maid in the house. And then they are
Mm.
forced to do a lot of things in the home, like if they were there for being a maid in their home.
Mm.
And that is very common as well. And then they are not living with the man they thought they should build a family and be together with because they are just a maid. And then there are coming a lot of visitors and they shall take care of them. One after the other are coming to their home. And the woman who were just a girl, innocent girl, married this man. She's becoming more and more tired of the whole situation. And then it's the man coming. And what is he doing? He wants her and he rapes her more or less. And that is not so uncommon what is happening and what is going on. I say it's very good when you have like a family system with culture and tradition, when people are good to each other. That's the best because here in Sweden, when I compare, there are so many people who are living alone. They don't have the family. Their relatives are gone somewhere else. And both men and women must work, and they work really hard and long days. And they put the children into daycare, and then they go to their sports events and all the trainings here and there. So they separate the family. And when they become older, they put the elderly into elderly homes. In, I should say, countries as Pakistan and other countries where you have very strong family ties, you live together. You are living with your grandparents and you are taking care of each other. You are really caring, and it's very good system. So there are, I should say, two parts of it. It can be one which is very good when it's working well. Then you have the support system helping with the children, helping each other, doing well. But if you are not living well and you live with an abusive man, it's really hard to get out from it. And that is what I used to talk about. What do you want to do now? Do you have some system? How can you do it? And don't act too early. We used to say, and that is also, don't act too early. It has been murders recently in Pakistan. It was like the mother-in-law who were involved in killing the bride and so on. And those things are happening. It's not uncommon at all because they are like, no, this girl is not good for the family, or this is not good. And who are usually suffering? It used to be the woman. That is the most common, or the girls. The boys are more free. They can go out, they can be with who they want, and they can talk freely. They are traveling. If a woman shall travel somewhere, they must have like a man who are driving, who are going with them, who are following them. So they are like second, yeah, second
Yeah.
citizen, yeah. And that is something which I think is really, really bad. And we need to be equal, even if we understand we have different roles. Of course, I am a man. That's why I'm saying when we are coaching, I'm coaching from a male perspective, and Rosha is coaching from a female perspective. And that combination, we believe, is the best because she can come up with things. Oh, I didn't think about that. I need to think more about this from a female perspective. You are right. And when we do this, we can reflect and give much better advices instead of me like saying, oh, you just go to a lawyer or you just do this, like me as a man is used to do. I am used to say we do this and we fix it fast. But if it's a woman who do this, then it can be a lot of problems because she's not having the right people who are supporting her. And then all will be against her and she will be excluded from the family, and she will be not only the victim for abuse, they will try to force her to go back to the relationship, to the man who are actually abusing her. So those things I think is so important, especially people who are meeting those people. They need to know about this kind of violence, honor related violence. And yeah, it was a long
No,
talk.
no, no, because you're giving me all the experiences that you've had. So my question to you is, like in all your experience, are the abusers mostly foreigners in Sweden, or are the Swedish men also prone to violence against women?
Both are both are prone to violence against women. I must say,
Equally?
I should say it's equally, but the cultural tradition with the family violence, it's why I'm talking about honor related violence, because then it's like the whole family or the relatives and the society are looking down at this woman who tried to break free. And it's something which is more common is also group raping. Group raping is nothing which I should say, if you are born in Sweden and you are native Swedish and not migrants, they don't want to do. Of course, there are some who are doing it, but they do it themselves when nobody sees it. They can't talk about it, and if they are going to a prison, they can't say that they were a rapist because the other inmates will not accept it. So that is actually related to different cultures. Migrants are more accepting that kind of violence against women than the Swedish men. They are more
Oh,
hiding, more ashamed of something like that, I should say. So that is a little bit different. But it's common also that Swedish men, that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter if you are um, and it doesn't matter if you have a good role, a good job or something, because they can hide behind this, and they can be the worst because they can continue like they are paying free for raping or when they are doing so. I should say this is like a double-edged sword when you are talking
mm.
about those things, and you can't like blame the migrants only or that it's people from other countries. This is my
No,
experience.
but Krista, haven't you noticed that more of this problem, like they are more female-related violence? You know, like for like the home is not a secure place for a woman anymore. Isn't it more more likely to happen in immigrant communities rather than Swedish communities? Is that a
Uh,
fact?
I want to say I think that is a fact. That is my I believe this. I have no data which confirms it, but I believe it because I've heard that when men are coming to Sweden with their family and they marry and so on, and the women start to go out and they get easy, they get education, and they break free from the patriarchal system, and that diminish the men and their children. They learn Swedish faster, which means that the men are losing their normal role as the head of the family because their knowledge and their experiences are not used in Sweden anymore. And when they are coming there, they start up to feel bad inside themselves and they don't feel like they belong. And then they can become angry, and that is coming out to the woman. You know, when I was working in schools in Sweden and with the coaching, I could see how they're coming men into the group where there were women, and they were checking the women. So they were covering themselves, they were behaving, and they were not talking to men, and so on. And if they start up and doing it, and also as a nurse student, if you're studying under nurse uh, education, then they were not allowed to perform anything on men. They must work with women. because that is the tradition and culture. And if they break that rule, like they are coming from this culture and tradition, then it was dangerous for them. And when they are coming back to the home, and that's why one of the women who actually were with me, Victoria, we can call her, and she was part of the non-profit organization we started up. And she said that what is needed is to make sure that the money which is coming shall not be just put on an account, and the woman must be forced to leave for getting the money to participate in an education in Sweden. Not only SFI, Swedish for immigrants, they need to be a part of the society. And when I was working as a community manager in a rural area, I started up with project. Then I brought both the men and the women. I think this is the solution. We need to educate and don't exclude the men and bring in the women. You shall go here, or just take the men here. I was a swim trainer for 10 years. I was trainer for children. Of course, it was common that the women, the girls, they were not allowed to come and train how to swim. Who are most common that they are drowning? That is the women who are coming from those cultures. How can they learn swim if they are not along with other children? Because we haven't separated between boys and girls. They are together as early as possible. So we normalize the interaction between boys and girls. So they are not like, oh, a woman. And then they look at the woman with those eyes all the time. That is the difference. We can see when men are coming from countries, they are like, oh, look at those women. And they are like hungry animals. And
Mm.
that is what's happening when you exclude the boys, when you also have, I should say, the mothers and the grandmothers, when they are like, they are also abusing by uh, growing up, like they are teaching their sons one way of behaving and the
Mm.
girls another. And when they
Mm.
teach, oh, it's okay. So now I go back. I told you about the 16 years old girl who was group raped. Um, I talked to the mother. I talked to her. I saw the story. We collected money for creating, because the attorney said we can't do anything. Then I got really angry because I said this is not okay. She was actually on her way to commit suicide, and she was really raped by those four men. They must know it was wrong what they did. But what happened? Their mother even protected. Three of them were brothers, and one was another. They were playing football and they were like good boys and they are so good. But the mother protected the sons. That is
Mm.
something which is also, no, my sons, they are so good. No, they don't do that. So they try to excuse, and they are not given the morals, values, and so on. So when we are talking about morals and values, it's so important to have that. And that must be trained very early. When I was working, I've been working in 5 prisons for 9 years. I worked with people as refugees for 1 year. I've been working at support living. So I know what they are saying. I know what they are talking about. And if they don't respect women, if they don't respect girls, how can they change this if they are brought up in a system where the father might be the one who was mistreating the mother, and the mother is mistreating the girls in the family and accept everything for the boys and say, no, this is a boy, like they are above a girl. And if you have this kind of mentality, it is happening what happened to that 16 years old girl who was raped, because the boys didn't stop it. None of them stopped it. They were all a part of the raping. And then they were getting free by all said the same thing. She wanted it. She was with us. She wanted it. And she
And
was
do you mind telling me which nationality this girl was?
she was Swedish.
She was Swedish. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. As
So,
I said,
but in the prisons that you've been working with the refugees and all the family problems that you're telling me about, the fact that they're not,
yeah.
you know, like adjusted well within the family. So, what do you do with those immigrant men for whom, an open society is, they cannot handle it. They don't understand what it means. They feel that maybe if it's an open society, they can behave in an immoral way. So like how do you rehabilitate them? How do you get them to be like normal people?
I like your question. The truth is that they are not rehabilitated. They were not there for the rapings. They were there for drugs. They were there for, yeah, they had become violence against someone and killed others. One of them had killed his girlfriend with a knife several times. He was a Swedish man. He was just with his girlfriend and he stabbed her to death. So that's why I'm saying it can be Swedish men who are committing those horrible crimes as well. I never say it's that um, because it's a country or something which the racists try to make this like a racist question, and they are trying to say also it's religion, and they are saying Muslims or that's common also. That's why I'm also saying that this is not acceptable at all. It has nothing to do with religion. They use religion for justifying the worst kind of abuse. They use politics for justify abuse and so on. And they justify by talking about the honor for the family. You must kill that person or do this or that. So in the prison and how to change it, I was showing movies with violence and also with rapings and things which are violent. And I was studying the inmates, and then we talked about it. And I wanted, if this was your mother, if this was your sister, what would you say then? Oh, then they become angry. Don't do it to my mother. No, but you think it's okay to do that to someone else's mother or someone else's sister. Is that okay? And started up the thinking, like changing their mindset and talking about those things. Because I think the only way we can change it's to get them to feel. When they can feel inside if it's good or bad. How do you think it feels for that woman or that girl to be in this situation? Is this macho thing something which is something to be proud of? I used to say. No, I think it's you should be proud of if you can stop someone who is trying to, or someone is talking um, like they are diminishing a woman or a girl. If they are using alcohol, don't say this is not good for you. This is very destructive, and I don't want to be in this situation. And I say bye and go there from this situation. That is what a man is doing. He take a standpoint, and that is why I say it's so important that you have the courage as a man to step up, to speak out, and also see how can I protect the women, how can I protect the girls, how can I talk to other men, how can I talk to the people who are working with those people. With all the
Mm.
experience I have, I think it's so important to tell this is how the reality is. And I have talked to the people who are going through those things. And many of the worst abusers, they have been abused themselves. It's
Mm.
no excuse, but it's an explanation, I used to say. Because if you have been abused yourself, you can choose if you want to do good or bad. If you use it for doing good, because you know how horrible it is to be abused, then you do something which is good for yourself or others. But if
Mm.
you are hiding your experience and not talking about it, then you can become mentally ill and you become like all different kind of diagnoses. You can be diagnosed as a narcissist, a sociopath, psychopath, and so on. There are a lot of DSM-5 diagnoses for giving them pills, for giving them medication, and that is like a drug system. And in the prisons, they are getting drugs, and when they are getting it with little and they have control over it, they are used to get this kind of medication, but they are calm inside the prison. When they are coming out, the first they do that is, I want drugs, I want alcohol, and then they start up. And what's
Mm.
happening? They become violent and they go back to their old way of living. So we need to have a completely different system when we are listening to them, when we are caring about them, when we see the child in every, because there are a lot of boys outside there in men's bodies. And that is what I've seen during my year.
Mm.
So
Mm.
many boys, they are not mature, they are not taking responsibility, they don't know how a man shall treat their sisters, their mothers, their children, their spouses, their girlfriends. When they start up, when they see someone outside, they start up and look at them as they are praised, like someone they shall just conquer. And that's why it's so hard for women to go out. They need a man who are following them. They can hardly, I've heard about things when they are going to a hospital, they are in a school, and that's a closed environment, and there is a man there who expect to get some kind of sexual services for giving them grades or whatever it is. They are using their power as men, and that is what women are. I should say this is sexual abuse, and that is something which is very common, very common. I heard about doctors. I have doctors in family,
Mm.
a woman, and she was actually forced, more or less. A professor tried her to give sexual services to him for the grade for getting the doctor license. And such things are horrible.
Yeah. So, Krista, I mean, what is the solution to this? Like we've seen a society in which there's mingling of the sexes. Like
Yeah,
you're like in Sweden, you allow children, whether they're girls or boys, they're allowed to grow up together and they're allowed to mature together.
yeah,
Even there are instances of violence, and of course in the immigrant communities where
yeah.
like the sexes are segregated, where women and men do not mix.
Yeah.
So what is the solution then if there's violence here and there's violence there? So what do
Uh,
we do?
I should say it's different kind of violence we are talking a little bit about here when we are talking about the violence with the men who are growing up from the beginning and they are born here in Sweden and they lived here many years. They are like if they live in a dysfunctional family and they don't learn about the values, the morals, and so on, then they are doing bad. But it's one to one, more or less. That's really bad. But when I'm talking about the honor related violence, then it's like the whole family, and it's easy to get excluded from the family. I have talked
Mm.
and I have friends who are starting up underground movements like Hidden Women, and they have like thousands of members, and they are trying to support each other. And how can they support each other? By sharing knowledge. How did you do for getting free? And I think it's not one solution. There are many kind of solutions. First of all, we must identify who are those women who are suffering, which environment are um, having this kind of violent system, so to say. It can be a school where they are not, you come in there and you can feel something is wrong in this school. Yeah, it might be the teachers who are having extra classes, extra things. It can be sales and so on going on in that school, in that environment. It can be in a municipality, in a local area where you have very influential gang leaders and they have taken over and they are selling drugs in that area. You don't see it if you haven't heard about it. I have talked to so many when I was working with the addicted and ex-criminals and the support living. I was working 1 year, night and day there. A lot of people I talked to. And then they are selling to them. And how can you actually change a person who are so violent and so, I should say, they need to be first of all two things: the victim and the abuser. And the victim who is abused need to feel safe and secure and have people they can trust and where to turn to. And that starts in the schools from the beginning. You can start up when you are coming to the first time when you are going to the healthcare. You have a child and you see the child, how the child is developing and that they are safe. And they talk to the mothers. How is it? How are you feeling? And give this free so they can speak out, because it's not always good to just leave or do something. Then they get to know about the man. I want to see the both of you coming here, or do a home visit, or someone is actually taking responsibility when the woman wants a change, when the woman wants help. That is the most important. It's never possible if you go in and interfere in families and taking the children away from the family. Then you get the whole group against you. They did that in
Mm.
Sweden. They said, you are having a violent relationship with your children. And then the authorities in Sweden, they were taking the children away from the family. That is not a solution. That is only creating um, suspicion, and it will become more violent and more hard for the girls, for the women, who for the children, I should say. It's important to do this together with the family. Make sure there are some financial incentives, for example, when they are getting the money. Don't just pay out when it's tax money, which are paid out like a social service, children care. They have to go there, bring the children, have a conversation with the person, see how they are living, make a home visit and say hi. And also, when people are hearing this, ask your friend, how are you? How do you feel? We need to talk openly with each other and find people we can trust. That is the way. And I think those who are working and meeting this in the job, like the police, like the social, like the healthcare, like the different municipality authorities, all people who are actually interacting with people, they need to know about this. What is this kind of violence we have in our society, in our part of the world, so to say. And then we need to share it with each other and talk about it openly, as we are doing now. I am so eager to hear a little about your experiences and what you are saying, because you were interested in this topic. I have talked a lot now, but I wanted to share most of the experience and what I have to say. I think education is so important. Education
Yes.
is so important. We need to educate. What are the signals? What are the psychological effects on a person if they are living in an abusive relationship? What are the effects of children if they are not allowed to choose if they want to wear this or that? For example, if they want to be with their friends, and how can we check this is a good environment and that they are living well? How are the family constellations with the uncles, with the aunties, with the, yeah, all of the people around? Is the Are they listening to the child? Did they listen to my mother when she was in that foster home? No, they said Christian men are not doing this. And she said, no, she's lying. Her auntie said she's lying because that is not what men are doing. How can a child lie about such things who is not aware of what rape and sexual things and abuse is about? And that is something which is so important, that we are talking about the different signals, but we shall not be, I should say, dogmatic, like we are saying all men are doing this and this is so we build a problem. We shall do it the good way, like open up for communication and inform about cases. I think that is so you can recognize those things when they are happening. A child which are like going down with the head, no, I don't want to talk. It can be shy, but it can also be that they are ashamed of something. They are hiding something they are actually experiencing in their homes. It starts in schools, and you can see the boys who are bullies. When they are bullying someone, you can see. I was a mentor in schools. I was swim trainer. When I saw those signals, I was confronting that boy. Hey, I see you. I see what you are doing. I want to hear what you have to say, because most of them want to be seen, and they shall be seen in a good way. And if they can be seen for doing good things, it might be a good change for those boys as well. But if you don't see them and you accept a bad behavior which are hurting others, then you are a part of the problem. You will be the co-manager. You are actually co-enabler. Co-enabler.
Hmm.
You are making it possible for them to continue with the bad behavior against girls, against women later on, and so on. So you can see it and how they are talking to each other. I think it's so good when I see, for example, Rehan School, how you are working together for building a trustful community with the students are open to express themselves, their different talents and so on, their skills. And also with the yoga classes, you sit down, you just meditate, you calm down, and it doesn't matter, they just calm down. And also how to care about each other. I brought some students to USA for the World Children's Festival. One of the things I was looking at was, are they supporting their classmates? Are they caring about their classmates? How are they interacting with others? We can see that if we are kind and caring about others, or if we are abusive or trying to controlling and behaving bad, we can all recognize those things. Then we need the courage to say no, or say, I want to know more. What is going on here? I don't know it myself, but I want to ask someone else about what is going on here, what I can do. I have helped actually teachers when I was working at Lernia, the competence school, for 5 years, who came to me. I have seen this boy is suffering from something. He has been through something. Okay, did someone rape him? Yeah, someone raped this boy. You know, when a boy is raped by other men, that's a shame for that boy. That can be the most traumatic situation for a boy too. It happens to boys as well. And then I just said, this organization are working. Thousand Possibilities was the organization name, because I knew about this. And then I could tell the teacher, give him, he trusts you. I will not come in and talk to him. He trusts you. You give him this so you can help him to get the right help. This can be a little thing for opening up a change for someone who can later on become an abuser after being abused themselves. It's so common.
Hmm. Hmm. They're just such heavy things that, oh my God, and look at the time. Oh, I've taken so much of your time.
No,
I've
it's
taken so much of your time. Yeah, but it was it. There were just so many. It was a very loaded topic, and we needed to have it out, and we needed to have it aired. And thank you
yeah,
so much for gracing my podcast with your presence today. And we hope to, I hope to talk to you about even more things. And
yeah,
I would like to request you to put more people in touch with me. Anyone who would like to know more about Pakistan, any children, any young people, old people, anyone who wants to maybe just have a chat about something general. Like it doesn't have to be something heavy, like, because like you've got this wealth of experience, and you know how to deal with real difficult issues, which
yeah,
most of us would just shy away from. I mean,
yeah,
uh, all the incidents that you've mentioned, I probably couldn't even deal with a single one of them. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do. I would probably go into deep depression, and
yeah,
I wouldn't want to confront that.
yeah,
So like if like put us in touch with more more people from Sweden, children, maybe immigrants, maybe Pakistanis who are in Sweden, Indians who are in Sweden, anyone from different parts of the world. So that would be good. That would be
Yeah,
that it will be lovely to hear how they are living there and how they find life to be there.
yeah. I
So
think that's
uh,
really good. Yeah, that, and
yeah,
thank you for saying this. But I try my best. I try to share everything. I have noticed that people are a little bit afraid of participating in
yeah.
interviews and interacting with people like this because it's not. It doesn't matter what the topic is, but it's like people are afraid of being in public places and meeting new people. They are so
Hmm.
connect with their own people, so to say,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
their
yeah. They
little
don't want to.
group. So they are
Yeah.
creating communities and they gather
Yeah.
in the communities. I have always been
Hmm.
like open. I love to travel. I've been in 34 countries. I love to meet different people and hearing their experiences and listening to what they have to say. I really want to hear more about you. I think that is also important to that you one day also. So I'm thinking about creating like an interview series as well and to interview people in Pakistan because I think there are so many talented people. You have so much knowledge and you have so much experiences from many things. And now with Rihan AI School and how starting up this and how to protect the people and bring out the knowledge to more people and actually sharing what you are finding in your school and the way you're building up things and your own personal experiences and so on. Because why did you choose this topic? Why did you choose to interview me? What is the background you have which got you to be interested in those things? Such questions I think are important as well to know a little bit more about. So thank you a
Yeah.
lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, this brings us to the end of our podcast. It was a long one, but we covered a lot of material and it has given all of us food for thought and hopefully with the positive direction
Yeah.
that Krista has told us to uh, go on and try to figure out and deal with our traumas. Thank you so much. This is Roshika signing off.
Thank you so much. I